So I just want to share some key points from my presentation with regard to best practices for risk and crisis management for events and meetings. Obviously, if you are hosting a meeting or event, the goal is always to prevent or mitigate, lessen any crisis that could happen or risk that could happen, to be prepared, to respond in the moment of crisis, and then recover. Those are the 4 steps that they mentioned, but I just want to give you some best practices. So 4 best practices essentially are to have a comprehensive risk assessment plan. Maybe that looks like a binder for you. Not sure what that actually looks like in your eyes, but it's a plan. It's a plan for the different areas of risk. Could be environmental risk. It could be safety and security risks. It could be logistical things. We all know those happen with meetings and events. Financial risks or reputation, which is something we don't always think about, but there's a risk there, especially with social media these days. We want to mitigate them or prevent them, but also to act in the moment of crisis, and having a plan is the best way to do that. Cross collaboration is the second tip. Definitely have everyone at the table, whether that's a pre-con prior to a meeting or conference, but you want to invite everybody, every stakeholder. So the hotels, the venues, the AV folks, maybe even local authorities or security. Talk to your insurance agent. What are you covered for? What are you not covered for? Making sure that everyone has a seat at the table to talk about potential risks that could happen and making a plan should they happen. Who to contact, who's in charge of what, who's going to respond in what situation. The third tip is training and drills. Cannot stress this one enough. It might take some resources, financial or otherwise, from your upper management to make sure that you're properly prepared, but doing an actual walkthrough of a property or a venue to make sure that you know where you and your team know where the exits are, to know where, if you're holding a perhaps it's a trade show at a larger convention center, you want to know where all the first aid locations are. Making sure that someone on your team is CPR trained, that is so important. Making sure even that some of your folks are aware what to do in an active shooter. And I hate that we even have to say that these days, but we do. An active shooter is a possibility. So making sure that training happens ahead of time. That could be bringing in a local security team or local authorities. Again, resources from higher up can help you make that happen. And then lastly, data security measures. Very important these days. Everyone's trying to hack into everything. So we want to make sure that the financial information, the personal information of your vendors, your sponsors, your attendees and participants is very safe and possibly encrypted. You can sub out that kind of work if you don't have a really good IT team or any IT team in your own organization or your association. Those are some of the key takeaways for sure. Getting leadership involved. It's actually probably the number one thing you want to do, because if you build risk and crisis management into your overall strategic plan for your company, your organization, that ties into budget. That will give you, as the meeting or event planner, or even the vendor, the hotelier, it gives you the resources that you need, money or otherwise. Time sometimes is a big resource, but it gives you what you need to have these plans in place and to help prevent, mitigate, and respond in a crisis. So those are my top tips.